Our next guest is the first person to ever travel to both space and the ocean's floor. Dr Kathryn Sullivan also ran one of the world's most important agencies, tracking and mapping how the Earth is evolving and how our climate is changing.
Named by the BBC as one of the most influential women of 2020, Dr Sullivan continues to inspire and break new ground. Dr Kathryn Sullivan was finishing up her PhD in oceanography when an opportunity to work for NASA came up. She'd never considered becoming an astronaut.
The job really seemed perfect for me. It involved the right mix of science and engineering, of doing and researching, and it seemed very exciting and exactly the kind of job I wanted.
In 1984, Dr Sullivan made history as the first American woman to walk in space.
You see it's nighttime on the Earth right below you and your spacecraft is still fully lit by the sun, and you realize somebody might be down there looking up at the sky and saying, "Look, Mommy, a satellite," and they're looking at you.
3 space missions later, she set her sights on a new adventure to the deepest known part of the Earth's seabed, 11 k's below the Pacific Ocean's surface. She became the first woman to get there. It's a place that has only been reached a handful of times since, including by Titanic director James Cameron. Dr Sullivan has also served as administrator of NOAA, America's top science agency for climate, oceans and the atmosphere under Barack Obama, and today is still exploring the world and conducting scientific work while advocating for action on climate change.
We are all sharing this one home, this one little spaceship Earth. We have to look at it as a place that you cherish and a place you want to protect.
Oh, Dr Kathryn Sullivan joins us now from Columbus, Ohio. Kathy, I feel such a loser learning about you. You've done everything.
No. Yes.
Let's start. You were part of NASA's first class of female astronauts. Let's start with space. Tell us about those space shuttle missions. What was it like in outer space?
Well, zero gravity is just grand fun, I have to tell you that. And you cannot beat that view out your office window that you would have from a spaceship. I was really lucky to have 2 flights that revolved around science of our Earth, measuring atmosphere and oceans, and then a really magical one right in the middle where we took the Hubble Space Telescope to orbit and put it out to work and starting its what's now 31-year mission.
Yeah, so that was in the 80s when you started that space adventure. You were really breaking new ground then.
Well, we were. I mean, it was the first time a lot of laws had changed in our country. It really was a non-starter for NASA to go pick new astronauts and claim there were no women or people of color that were qualified. So our group was, as we called it, 10 interesting people, 6 women and 3 African Americans and 1 Asian American. And as they said, 25 standard white guys.
That's amazing.
Love it. Okay, let's go the other extreme, from deep space to the depths of Earth's seabed. How did that experience compare?
Well, one is riding a bomb, and one an 8-minute ride on a bomb, and one is a 4-hour, very serene, smooth elevator ride to the bottom of the ocean. You have a 1,000-mile view when you're up in orbit, and you can see maybe 30 feet, maybe 10 meters in the sphere of lights that your submersible is carrying. And of course, outside your window, when you're in a spaceship, is zero pressure, atmospheric pressure, and outside your viewport in the submersible, the pressure is 1,100 times what you have here at the surface.
Yeah, you just don't want anything to go wrong, do you? You feature in a new podcast called Directions with Australian journalist Stan Grant, talking about your career, and you are a big advocate of climate change.
Well, I'm not an advocate of climate change. The planet's doing that all on its own.
Doing something about it.
And we are helping it along, it has to be said. But I'm definitely an advocate of what I call environmental intelligence, measuring and monitoring and mapping our Earth, making sure we can keep the pulse on our planet like our physicians keep the pulse on our health, so we can know what's happening now, what's coming next. Because remarkably, we now have tremendous capability to predict and forecast conditions into the future. That should let us plan and prepare for things that are coming, not just cruise into them blindly.
Yep, absolutely agree. Really lovely to meet you, Dr. Kathy Sullivan. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh,
what a woman.
Remarkable person,
yeah,
isn't she?
Fascinating.
Speaking of remarkable people,